Hi, I'm Mike Tesshouse, and I'm reporting to you from Hastings High School for KATS School Notebook Report. Along with every new school year comes new teachers. This year, HHS has 6 new teachers. Linda Niederhaus and Donald Rouleau are 2 new art teachers this year. Dean Chetrula is a new science teacher, while Darcy Dillman divides her time between the math and business departments. Roger Sunderman is teaching in the history department and coaches boys and girls tennis. Michael Zeppelin, who teaches physical education, also coaches swimming and JV football. Carter Ziebke is a new resource teacher at the high school. Besides teachers, some other things have also changed at HHS. All the Apple II GSs and Apple IIes have been replaced by Macintosh LCs and Macintosh Classics. The school now has 3 Macintosh labs available for student use, the newest of which was added this summer and features a Macintosh LC, which can run Apple II programs and Macintosh programs. This lab should help students and teachers adjust to switch to only Macintosh. In sports, the cross-country team placed 6th at the University of Nebraska Westland Invitational. Adam Below finished first for the Tigers and 16th overall. The tennis team won their duel against McCook, winning 8 out of their 9 matches. The varsity volleyball team opened the season with a win against Fremont. The Lady Tigers won 15-9 and 15-8. The girls' golf team had their first competition on Friday at the North Platte Invitational. In football, the Tigers lost 20-8 versus Norfolk, and they will be playing Scotts Bluff next Friday at 7:30. The junior varsity football won their second game 32-17 versus Grand Island Northwest, and will be playing Kearney in 2 weeks. Now, please stay tuned for Tigerland football.
Hi everybody, and welcome to our 3rd year Tigerland football. Tonight's our first show. Missed last week due to some repairs in the lab here, and we're going to try to combine 2 shows into one tonight. We've got 2 of our seniors, as we've traditionally had on the Tigerland football show, with us tonight. On my far left is Jason Conant, who's one of our halfbacks, also does our kicking and extra point and field goal, and also plays cornerback for us. To my immediate left is Jason Hill, senior fullback and middle linebacker. And we'll talk a little bit with Jason Hill and Jason Conant in just a little bit. We've also got one of our new staff members on the set tonight, Mike Zeppelin. And Mike basically is handling the physical education duties along with myself downstairs. And we're going to have Mike tell you a little bit about himself and where his past and where he's going.
Well, as Coach Olson said, my name's Mike Zeppelin, and I am a new staff member here. I'm coaching football, and then I'm also head coach in swimming. I came from Grand Island Central Catholic last year, where I spent a year, and then I took the job at Hastings High. I graduated from UNO and went to Lincoln Pius, and I tell you, it's about all the excitement I've had in my life. So, basically, I'm happy to be here at Hastings, and the kids have been real fun to work with, and overall, it's been a real good experience for me.
Now, Coach, after you left UNO as a player, didn't you stay on there 1 year as a graduate assistant?
Yes, I did. I graduate assisted in 1989, and I was outside linebacker coach there and helped out a lot with their defense, kind of like I do here. So it wasn't that much of a switch for me.
Okay. Fellas, looking back at last week's game against Norfolk, Norfolk had a great offensive and defensive line and kind of handled us defensively. They rolled up pretty close to 300 yards rushing on us, which wasn't playing. Now that we've had a few days to reflect on it, Jason, how do you assess the game and what do you think about it?
Well, on offense, we got stopped on our inside veer, and as you know, that's what we basically run off of, and then from there we go to the outside veer and halfbacks. But once they stopped us there, they stopped most of our rushing game, and that's due to their big size and and then like Conant and the other halfback, Mark Kometcher, they're awful quick and everything, but still that just didn't cut enough because they could just read everything we had. And then on defense, I thought we played pretty good. The first half was a little shaky, but after the second half, we stopped them. And then there at the end, we pushed a drive in and scored, which we should have had in the first quarter to start off with, but they just stopped our offense. They're big guys.
And Jason, being a young team, we're really looking to you seniors to give us the support we need and give those young players the support and the leadership. How do you see your role as a senior on this team, Jason Conant?
Well, I think we need to set a good example for the younger kids, because a lot of them are getting some quality varsity time, and they need to see good leadership from all of the seniors. Because we have fewer numbers than in the past, but the seniors need to give the same amount of leadership.
Okay. Jason's right. We've got a lot of juniors that are playing varsity football right now. Matter of fact, just a little bit ago, we had a JV game outside, and as the game was going on, the varsity coaches were watching from the stands a little bit after we got done practice, and we were commenting that probably, we were playing with a lot of kids that might not, had our other juniors been down there, might not even have been started on the JV team tonight. Coach Zeppelin runs the defense and pretty much heads up the junior varsity football team. Why don't you tell us a little about how the season's going with the JVs, Mike?
Well, I'll tell you, tonight I about had a heart attack 3 times. We kind of have run a squeaker on Northwest. It was ended up 30-17, but we were down 17-14 in the fourth quarter, and the kids came back, and I think Lance Carlson ran about a 70-yard touchdown run and got us out of a hole that way. So we ended up winning tonight. So everybody's cheering. Grand Island Northwest, our sophomores played last week also, and I think we won that 20-6. And our sophomore group looks like a real good group, And I think by the time, if they stay together and when they're seniors, that we should have a pretty solid football team. We did lose our first game to Columbus, and it was a close game. I'm not even too sure of the score. I think it was like 14-6. And, they broke a long touchdown run on us. We had about 16 opportunities to tackle the ball carrier, but we just didn't get the job done, and that's to their credit. But overall, we're learning. Haven't been real pleased with some of the pregame preparation and things. Of course, that's all kind of thrown together a night before, but still, we still have a lot of work to do if we're going to be a good football team in the future. I think the young kids are doing a good job, but they need to do a little bit better job for us to be a good quality football team in the future.
Okay. Well, it's always good to see the younger teams excelling. Our freshmen now are 1-1 also. They won pretty big over North Platte in their opening game. I believe it was a 34-0 shutout, and then had a squeaker last week, a 12-6 game that they lost to Kearney. And in that game, I think we turned the ball over 7 times. So our freshmen, sophomores, and JVs are off to a real fine start, and we need to keep them going there. Getting back to the varsity scene, though, fellas, we've got Scotts Bluff coming up this week. We just read in the newspaper to where with their 2-0 start over 2 pretty good football teams, they're rated in the Omaha World Herald as the number 10 team now, which is got to be a big psych for them. Plus, it's homecoming out there. We've got to make a long trip out. What do you think we need to do, Jason, to get the job done out at Scotts Bluff?
Well, we have an awful young line, and we only have 1 senior that's starting on the line, but they have 2 games experience right now, and with that, we need to just encourage them and all that. And with them, that's what we really need, and we'll hit the inside veer against Scotts Bluff, and I think we're going to be able to take them and drop them down from that, what the ranking is. And, well, that's what I have to say.
Jason, what do you see for the key to Friday night's game?
Well, I think that the pressure is off us. We're the underdogs, and I mean they have to keep their position. I think they're not as big as the 2 teams that we played before, and so this will give us a little better chance to see what our young linemen can do. they should be able to handle them a little better than they have in the past with the other two teams. But I think that the pressure is off of us.
Okay. And as Jason said, we faced two real good football teams our first 2 weeks. We went out and played the number 2 and 3 team rated in Wyoming the first week, and they handled our line pretty easily, really. Offensively, we looked real good at times. Our first 2 marches went for about 65 and 70 yards. First one coming up on the 1-yard line with a fumble, and the second one, Jason kicked a field goal for us to get 3 points out of it. But that kind of took a little bit of wind out of our sails. Second half, again, we played much better, and they threw a long one at us at the very end there when both teams were subbing, quite liberally, and it ended up being a pretty good score, 36-3. However, those that were at the game or those that saw the film knows it was not quite whitewashing as the score might have indicated. Last week, as you'll see in the film against Norfolk, we get off to a very slow start, and that might be the understatement of the year. They kick a blooper onside kick on us, and we do not do a good job of handling the football, do a very poor job, matter of fact. And they get the ball and punch it in. We get the ball back and hold them. They force us to punt. In turn, we get the ball back one more time, fumble it, and before the first quarter's over, it's 14-0. From there on out, it was a pretty good football game. Besides our young line, we're also playing a junior in the secondary. We've got 1 junior inside backer and 1 junior outside backer too. So we've really only got 3 or 4 seniors playing on either side of the line of scrimmage, but we're not using that as an excuse. As Jason said, those kids are now 2 games into their career as varsity players, and they've mixed it up with some pretty good talent. Now we need to come out Friday night out of Scottsbluff and get the job done. Getting off of football a little bit for a minute, fellas, we always like to talk to the seniors. You've only been seniors now for about 3 weeks. What difference do you feel as far as being in school as a senior, Jason?
Oh, I like it. It's just, I'm kind of scared about everything, but it's, I have a whole year left, and it's just people are respecting me, and the football, it's pretty great and everything, and I've just been waiting for this for years, and here it is, and I just want to make the best of it, get to where I'm going.
What do you plan on doing after high school, Jason?
4-year college, and I'd like to play football.
Like to play some football. What are you going to pursue?
Well, business major and maybe some psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you can use some of that psychology on these players, huh?
Yeah.
Jason Conant, what about yourself? What do you like about school this year?
I like the respect that you get from the underclassmen, and I like just being able to walk down the hall and know that nobody's going to push me around. And I also plan to go to a 4-year school somewhere and play some athletics, baseball, football, one way or the other. Plan to go into maybe accounting or finance, somewhere in business.
Okay. Well, as usual, these 2 seniors are doing a good job so far with their academic works all the way up through their high school career, and now they need to make sure that they're buckling down and getting that job done also in their senior year. But they've pretty much both laid the groundwork, both good students, both doing a fine job in the classroom, and we never get any reports, too many reports about these 2 kids anyway, messing up. So, as coaches, we appreciate that. We'd rather have all of our kids, obviously, be good students, because we think good students are also going to be good football players in the fact that they can learn their assignments easier, take pride in knowing what to do and getting the job done just like they do in the academics. Coach, we're looking at a lot of film on Scottsbluff. Scottsbluff will run the single wing offense. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about it and how you plan on defending it?
Well, I'll tell you, the single wing for me last night was actually the first time I'd ever seen it, so not to scare me or anything. No, we plan to do some of basically the same things that we've been doing week to week. Probably the most important thing, though, that we need to do is keep them out of the end zone. And with our fronts and the way our linebackers are going to be stacked this week, I think we'll give them a lot of trouble. We'll throw them some different looks, and hopefully it will slow them down a little bit. And one thing that we've been looking for defensively that maybe we haven't been getting, we've had a few interceptions dropped and a few fumbles that we just haven't recovered, and we need to start doing that. It takes big plays and offensive, to give the offense the ball with good field position. And basically, we've just got to get that done this week. So I think, just looking at the film, we can stop them, but the key is going to be, we have to make less mistakes and we have to get big plays. We've got to recover the fumbles and we've got to intercept the football. We haven't been doing that.
Yeah, we'd really like to see our defense come out and be much, much more aggressive than we've been, especially our front 6 or 8 people. We feel right now that we are not doing probably a very good job of coaching those kids because they are not aggressive. We need to find some different ways to motivate them, maybe some different ways to show them what we're trying to get done during the game, because it seems that we get it done during practice and then we get onto the field and all of a sudden we draw a blank on our techniques and being aggressive, and that's something that we've been striving for all year so far, and we're hoping to put it together when we go out to Scotts Bluff. Fellas, getting back to your schoolwork a little bit, why don't you tell us, Jason Conan, about some of the classes you're taking, maybe some of the favorite things that you're doing this year academically.
Well, I'm taking accounting for the 2nd year in a row, and I'm also taking marketing this year, which is intertwined with DECA, which is a business program that is through the school and provides a lot of information on trips. And actually in November we're going to be going to Kentucky for 3 days at a convention there, and actually next week we're going to be going to Lincoln for a convention there.
Okay, now who teaches those classes, Jason?
Mr. Laney Pettit teaches my accounting, and Mrs. Gwen Davidson teaches my marketing.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Pettit, he's a good guy to have on your side. He kind of handles all the finances around the high school too,
Yeah.
so that's a good person to keep on in your corner.
Yeah.
Jason Hill, what about some of your favorite classes right now?
Well, some of my favorite classes are Jason's. As you know, we're both going to the same field. Accounting, advanced with Jason, and I'm in advanced marketing too, marketing 3/4 with Gwen Davidson. And I took a college course, and that's European history, which is an AP, and got my math pretty much done, but took a science course, honors physics, and British literature. That's not my favorite though. And some of the things I like to do are just get some of my youth out of me, but I like to go hunting and fishing and stuff like that, pastime.
Okay.
Okay.
How much time each night do you think you work on your studies, Jason?
Uh,
On an average?
On an average.
Average night.
some more than others, but half hour. But there's a couple. It depends when tests are coming up.
Right. Well, that kind of wraps up this portion of the show. We will be coming up with the game film from the Norfolk game, and we'll talk a little bit more about that game when it comes up. Fellas, thanks for taking the time out from your schedule to come in with us tonight. And you'll be seeing more of the seniors as we bring the show to you each Tuesday night. And Coach Zeppelin, keep those junior varsity players going, and let's get that defense wound up for our trip out to Scotts Bluff. And it'd be nice to come up with a goose egg out there.
Yes, it would. Real nice. Real nice.
Well, stay tuned, and we'll show some game film for you now. Okay, here we're ready for the opening kickoff of the Norfolk game. You can see they kick a little blooper kick, and it rolls right up to one of our players over there. And I'm not really sure what goes through Mark's head, but he just kind of stands there and watches it, and Norfolk jumps on the ball, and they've got great field position. They're at our 26-yard line. On the first play of the game, they run an inside veer, and quarterback keeps the ball, and we're really in pretty good position to make the play, but our linebacker doesn't quite get there, and they ended up getting a good gain right off the bat. Second play, they come back with inside veer the other way, and Mike Simmons makes a real fine play. We had a twist call on there where our defensive end crashes down and stumbles them for no gain. So we come up with a 3rd and short. They run a little counter ISO, and it opens up real nice. Their lead back gets a real fine block on our backer, and now they're down into the scoring zone about an 11-yard line. Norfolk runs that wishbone just like we do. Here they run an inside curl play, fake the counter off of it, and fullback gets about 6 yards on the play. So right off the bat, we've got our backs to the wall. Our defense is trying to hold here. Here they run another counter, and we do a little bit better job. Got several Tigers on the football, and that's what we really like to see. We're into our 22 goal line right now, and we're trying to do a good job here, and we really, again, don't do a very good job of stopping that option. Our safety was a little bit late coming over, and we let the quarterback go in, and probably just a couple minutes are gone in the game, and they're already up 7-0 or 6-0, and trying to make it 7. Brad Roush does a real good job here of coming through, and might have got a finger on that, and it pushes it a little bit wide to the right, and later Brad comes back and blocks a kick for us. And in a closer game, those are the kind of things that are going to win football games for us. We inserted a different player over there this time, Nick Theo-Harris, and Nick does a real fine job. They keep trying that bloop kick on 3 consecutive kicks, and Nick fields every one, and we start out with pretty good field position here. We open up with an inside veer of our own. Quarterback seems to make a good read here, and their linebacker, we had trouble with their linebackers all night. They're big, strong kids, and sometimes they were just overpowering us. Here again, we come with an inside veer, and the end stays outside, so that's the key for our quarterback to give it to the fullback, but their linebacker comes in, and we don't handle him very well. Plus, we get called for holding. So they're going to march us 10 yards back, so it's going to put us a second and pretty long situation here. Second and long, it's Kurt McAuliffe at quarterback and Jason Hill at fullback. We come with a little counter dive play, and we do a real fine job of making a run it call on the backside, but the play side linebacker comes over and makes the play. We did not do a good job of making a fake there. We'd like to get more of a fake to get that linebacker flowing. Here we run a bootleg, and Dan Packard is out leading Kurt on the bootleg, and Kurt can't find a receiver and runs it and does a real good job putting his head down. And Kurt's not a very big fellow, but does a great job there and getting some yards for us. But as you can see on the sticks across the way, it's still come up about 1.5 yards short. Now here's something that we don't like to see as a coach. We had a player that was late getting out onto the field on our punt team. We were planning a fake here. We had planned it all week. We saw an area where we thought we could fake the punt, and we thought if we were anywhere around midfield, we were going to give it a shot. Well, right away with them scoring quickly, we felt this would be a great time to do it. We have to punt the ball after the 5-yard penalty, missed several tackles here. Dan Packard comes back and makes, looks like a touchdown saving tackle. Fortunately for us, there was a clip on the play. Doug Brandt had the kid wrapped up right as he caught the ball, and one of the Norfolk Panthers hit him from behind, and the ref was right there to throw the flag. So they start off on their own 11-yard line. They come back to the inside veer, and their big fullback gets through there. We miss a tackle, and Doug Brandt comes up and makes a stop along with Dan Packard and Steve Ernst, our 2 middle backers. Now those are things we don't like to see because we're in the right spot to make the play happen, and we just don't do it. Now here we run a little outside game again, and Raymond Hausman does a nice job of coming down and playing the fullback, and the quarterback pulled, and our linebacker and defensive tackle are right there to make the stop on the quarterback for almost no gain. Inside veer again. Simmons comes down hard on an inside twist and has the fullback stopped at the line of scrimmage, but big kid powers his way for about a 4 or 5 yard gain. Brings up 2nd down and 4 or 5. They run their fullback straight ahead. I think the center was snapped the ball early there. It's what you see that their offensive line didn't come off the ball very good, and John Fergus had him wrapped up and just doesn't make the play. Now here both John and Mike do a tremendous job getting the defensive people stood up, finding the football and making the stop. Brings up 2nd and 8. Offensively, you'll see they're very similar to us. They try to throw a play-action slant, and boy, we sure would have liked to have that one, and Tyson would too. He read the play beautiful, had the corner covered. That's about all he can do on that slant, and hope the quarterback miscues like he did. And next time Tyson, I'm sure, will come up with that. Here they run an inside veer. They run it for about a 2 yard gain, and it's going to force them into a punting situation. Now again, here's a mental mistake we don't like to have as a coach. They have a bad snap, goes over the punter's head, and even though we have a jam return on, we still have 2 people that are assigned to rush the punter no matter what. And neither of them really get the job done. Matter of fact, one of them doesn't rush at all. So they get a lucky kick and a great, great bounce for them. So instead of having the ball maybe on their 20, we've got it on our own 40. Kurt McAuliffe on a play-action pass tries to find Mike Simmons on the backside post, overthrows it a little bit, brings up 2nd and 10. Come back with an outside veer, and here's the play that really hurt. They had an inside backer, plugged the gap, crashed through the line, hit our fullback and quarterback on the mesh, and again the ball bounces right up into their hands. So here we've gone a little over, probably about 7 minutes, 8 minutes into the game, and they've scored once on a miscue, and now they're knocking at our door again. And a big football team like Norfolk, big powerful kids up front, and a good wishbone team is hard to stop once you get down inside here. Doug Brandt comes up from the safety position. We're in our 22 goal line again. Does a good job of making a stop on their halfback. They run inside veer again. We do a nice job of stopping the fullback, but I believe they come right back with another inside veer. And again, we don't get out to where the quarterback is. Our safety and middle backer are responsible to get there, and there Doug was there. He just doesn't get down low enough to make the hit, and so they come out and score. Now we've got some people coming on and off the field, and we're playing with some short people out here. Again, we really feel this is an area that our kids need to work on, and we as coaches need to, we think we're, trying to drill it, that when we get into a situation where we're ready to put a goal line defense in, or we're ready to put a punt team in, Coach Dunlap's special teams coordinator rounds all the kids up, but 2 times now already in the early game, we've got kids not paying attention and not getting out there. Jason Conant does a nice job behind the blocking of Dan Packard. Gets about 4 yards from us. We've inserted our sophomore quarterback now, Bo Butenbeck, to try to make something happen here. Bo does a nice job reading an inside veer and picks up about 13 yards on the keeper. First down, our first down of the game, I might add. We come with an ISO play, and one of our halfbacks, I believe that's Mark Komicher, runs up in there pretty tough, gets a couple yards for us, brings up 2nd and 8. Now we run a little sprint draw, and we have a mix-up on our blocking assignment, and our tight end thought he heard the call for a pass play, and instead it was a sprint draw, and so we don't get the end block, and Jason Conant's only able to pick up a couple. We run inside veer again, and right read was made, and Bo picks up about 3 yards, so it brings up 4th and short. We're in, we feel, 4-down territory for us, and here we run inside veer, and you can see the quarterback trying to pull the ball out. He makes a read to keep the ball, and there was a nice alley there. I think we would have had a great game, but our fullback wanted the ball too, and so they stop our fullback. We turn the ball over. As we said earlier on the show, we've got a lot of young kids playing, but we really don't feel that that's an excuse for all the mental mistakes that we're making in the game so far tonight. Defensively, they are getting after us pretty good. If you watch some of these plays, they're handling our tackles and pushing some of our tackles back into our backers. But for the most part, we're in the right spot. Here, our junior linebacker, Steve Ernst, reads the option play just about like we practiced all week, and scrapes off, stays square to the line of scrimmage, and come up and make a nice hit on the quarterback for a couple-yard loss. Steve's going to end up being a real fine football player for us. We'd like to see him gain a little bit more strength than what he did this last year in the offseason, and next year I'm sure he'll find his way into the weight room a little more often. Here they come back with another inside veer. There's nothing tricky about what Norfolk is doing. As I said, very similar to our offense. Right now they're definitely executing and blocking much better than we have. They run that quick pitch play and get our outside backer hooked. That's not what we'd like happen to our outside backer. Later in the film, we see he's been lining up too tight all night long, and when you do that, the tight end has a good chance of hooking you, and consequently, during the first half, they get a couple real nice gainers on their quick pitch. Second half, we come back and stop that same play on a 4th and short and cause them to turn the ball over. Here they run a bootleg of their own, much like ours, and Kurt McAuliffe comes up, makes a nice break on the ball, and gets his fingers on the ball and tips it out of bounds, and brings up a 2nd down and long situation for him. Here they're in a slot formation, which they haven't shown all year, and I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. Either they went the wrong direction or lined up wrong, but they ran an option play back to the side where they ran their slot back away from, and that leaves our outside backer free to just come up and take the pitch, and Nick Theo Harris does a real fine job there. Now we don't get the job done on the quarterback. What happened here, and if we could run it back, we'd show you, but we're going to let the film play on. Our middle backer takes a step up towards the line of scrimmage and bites on the fullback. And in this particular defensive scheme that we had running, we have him supposed to be scraping out like you saw Steve Ernst did to the other side. And that's what's causing that quarterback to get so much yardage. Now in the second half, we do a little bit better job of that. Here we do a good job of holding them on fourth down. We had several Tigers in on the tackle. We get the ball deep in our own territory. Butenbach is back to pass. Our right guard on the backside misses his man and lets him beat him to the quarterback. And so right away we start ourselves in a hole again. It'll be second and long here. Come out in the slot right formation and run a seal scheme. First thing we asked Bo in the films Sunday night is what happened there, and he had the right answer. He made the wrong read. The man that tackled him is the man that he's supposed to be reading, and when that happens, he should be giving the ball to the fullback, and we would have had a real nice yard. Here we're deep in our hole, 2 losses in a row, and on third down we try our quick kick. Jason Conant gets a tremendous kick. Matter of fact, I think the statisticians told us it was 58 yards, no return. It's right before half. That's probably one of the few breaths of fresh air that we've had in this first half. Now we break down on defensive assignment here, and they run their veer, and our outside backer gets sucked way inside. Their quarterback execute the option about as good as you can, picks up about 10 himself, and then as we get out to tackle him, he pitches the ball to the halfback, and that's just a real fine play for Norfolk. But we definitely aided that by having our outside backer get sucked inside. Here they run a little broken play themselves, and we've got several Tigers there tackling the quarterback for no gain, and that sure helps. Outside veer, Raymond Hausman does a nice job making the tackle. But see, after that 58-yard kick on the quick kick, we let them off the hook and let them run a play for 53 yards, and we really haven't gained anything. And the momentum which we might have had momentarily is now switched back to their side. Here again, our middle linebacker is in a great position to make the play, but he over-pursues. We really teach our middle linebackers as they're scraping to stay a half a man behind the football. We feel if they're a half a man behind the football, when that guy cuts up, we still have an easy enough angle to get him. But if we get ahead of the football and he makes a cutback, then we're in trouble. Quick pitch again, and they score pretty easily. Now, right now, Norfolk is making us look terrible, and we're helping them look good, though, at the same time. Here, Brad Rouse comes through again. I'm sure the Norfolk team will have that corrected by the next time they line up, but their left end was blocking out instead of blocking in, which is opening up a gap for Brad. And Brad comes up with a nice blocked extra point, and as I said earlier, somewhere down the road, that will be real important for us. Here we run an inside veer, pick up about 4 or 5 yards, and you know we're doing the things that we've worked on all year. Granted, it is 20-0. You're not going to see us come out and throw a lot of a ton of passes, although we feel we've got some receivers, and later in the game we do a good job of marching the ball about 80 yards, predominantly throwing the ball. Now we did miss one play in there. Our play right before half, we run a option to the left, and somehow it got cut out of the film. I believe something happened upstairs with our film crew, and we did have a 48-yard play right before half that looked like it was going to break all the way for a touchdown, but our halfback got caught. So this is action in the second half again. Here again, our backer is in a position to make a good stick. He does make the tackle, and we're fortunate there, but again, he's over-pursuing a little bit too much. We want him to stay half a man behind that quarterback. Option to the other side, and here Raymond Hausman makes a real fine play. Raymond's just a junior, first game he's ever started as a varsity player. We think Raymond has the potential to be a real fine football player for us. He needs to be a little bit more disciplined on his technique and do the things that we want him to do. Now Norfolk puts the ball on the ground here, and we don't come up with it. You heard Coach Zeppelin say earlier in the show that we need to get some turnovers, and there's a good example of a turnover that we could have had had we kept our head up. Instead of taking a punt, we might have had the ball right here. Now, we get a couple fine blocks, and Kurt McAuliffe shows us why. He's one of the sprint champions in our conference and has a 17-yard return, and then the Norfolk kid jumps on. And actually, we thought at the time the kid probably could have been thrown out of the game because it looked like he really speared him, came in with his helmet, but the official was right there, and I'm sure he made the right call. We ended up picking up 15 yards for a late hit, so we've got good field position. We run a curl play up the middle, do a fairly good job on it. Their backers are closing good. They've got two real fine backers. That number 51, he may end up being an all-stater before the year's all said and done. Here we run a straight ISO, and their backers come in and stuff is pretty good. Their backers are doing about what we want our backers to do on ISO. They're meeting that play right in the hole and not giving our back much chance to do anything. Here we've got a third and short situation, and we run veer, and again, I think the backer's in there to make the stop. It might have been a wrong read there. That's one of those situations where we tell the quarterback, you're out there and you've got to make the read. Now here again, fourth and short, we run our inside veer, and the quarterback, as you saw, is trying to pull the ball out of the fullback's belly because he reads keep. But our fullback is taking the ball away from him, and that's happened twice tonight, which has stopped us from getting first downs both times, because both times the quarterback had made the right read, and had he kept the ball, was going to have a nice gain up the alley. They run a curl play of their own, and their big fullback mows a couple of us over, ends up getting the first down. Here they come back to the veer. Fullback again is getting a lot of yards on his own. We have several kids in the right spot, but he's a powerful kid, and we're making him look a little bit better for not being real aggressive. Here they handed the ball up inside, and Ray Hausman gets fooled a little bit, but he was doing his job on any type of bootleg or play-action pass where the quarterback comes his side. He's supposed to be getting after him. It's a good thing Raymond let up. Otherwise, the official would have thrown the flag on us. Now, there's a picture-perfect option coverage. We cover the fullback. We have our backer come up, make the quarterback pitch, and our outside linebackers right there to pick up the pitch man, and Todd Tackle makes a fine play. So it's a little discouraging sometimes when we can see our kids know what to do, but just aren't getting the job done all the time. Here Steve Ernst comes up on a nice bootleg play and sacks the quarterback for a loss. That's a big play for us because now it puts them in a situation where they've got some long yardage. Mike Simmons, another one of our juniors up front, plays defensive end for us, and also tight end, makes a nice play, and he gets some help there from John Fergus and Ray Hausman. Quick pitch again that they were hurting us on in the first half, and here Todd Tackwell in our corner, I believe that's Tyson Butler over there, do a real fine job of covering that quick pitch on third and short and forces him to punt. He kind of shanks a punt here, and I'm sure he doesn't want to kick it into the end zone. They end up getting another good Norfolk bounce, and the ball ends up on about our 12-yard line. So we start again with they've had good field position all night. We've had poor position most of the night. We run an option. Quarterback makes a fine read. Their defensive end splits our double team and covers a lot of ground to come out, but in the meantime, we make 7 yards. Laid a pretty good lick on our halfback. Here again, we run option, get a pitch out to Jason Conant. We have a mix-up on our perimeter blocking there. That play could have, and you know, as a coach, you'd like to think should have, went for long yardage, but our right halfback blocked the wrong man. Here we come back with a counter dive, and their linebackers just weren't biting at all. They did a real fine job of staying inside and stopping us, but still pursuing when we went outside. So right now, offensively, we're really searching for some things. One bright spot the other night was the punting. You saw Jason Conant get off a real fine kick on our quick kick. Mike Simmons averaged 38 yards on 3 punts. So that was one bright spot, and that was the last play of the third quarter. They take possession again and run an ISO to their fullback with their lead back blocking. I don't think Norfolk had that in their playbook up until last week, and they saw Gillette had some good yardage on that play, so I'm sure they decided to try it themselves. Here they come right back with it. They let their big fullback do the running, and they're leading with their halfback, putting a lot of people at the point of attack. I think they're trying to, thinking they've got us worn down right now. Here we stunt the backer, and we have the quarterback wrapped up for what it looks like a couple-yard loss, but our defensive end can't hold on to him, and he ends up turning into about a 2-yard gain. Here Coach Zeppelin stunts another backer, Jason Hill. They throw a slant. They end up having a good play called for our stunting backer because they threw the slant right behind where our backer was. And anytime you run a stunt, you're taking a gamble that you're going to get to the quarterback before he gets to throw it. Here we run an outside twist, which sends our end down on the fullback and our tackle out to help play on the quarterback. And Jeremy Adler, one of our senior tackles, runs the twist very well, but he just does not grab jersey and wrap up the way we'd like to see him do it. Here's another good play for Ray Hausman. I think Ray ended up with about 12 or 13 tackles in the game the other night. There's their curl play again. Our defensive end comes down. I believe that's Raymond again, helping make the stop, and also Justin May. Now, Justin is just a sophomore, and right now he's starting both ways for us. There's a great play by one of our senior linebackers, Jason Hill. We got into a goal line, 22 goal line defense there. It was short yardage, and they try that quick curl again, and our tackles and Badgers do a nice job keeping our linebacker free, and he basically sticks up inside and gets a real nice play. And that's the kind of hits we'd like to see out of our defensive linebackers. 2nd and long now. We're going to run that sprint draw that we ran a little bit earlier. And again, we get a little mix-up on our block there. Our right halfback is supposed to be going out on the corner, making it look more like a pass, letting our fullback kick out the end, and they both kind of run into each other, and really destroys the play. We run bootleg. They shoot a backer. No one's there to pick them up, and Bo slips down, and that ends that drive. Mike Simmons punting from near our goal line. Here's the only time all night we felt that our punt team really broke down. As you look at those kids running down the football field, there's too many people that are running behind somebody else. And then we end up missing a couple tackles. Luckily for us, he stepped out of bounds back a ways, but again, they've got good field position. Got the ball on our 33-yard line. Here's an outside ISO play to their, or outside veer play rather, to their fullback. And they do have us pretty worn down right now. They're trying to run some time off the clock, not, give the football back to us. I'm sure they're trying to score here again. I believe there's about 7 minutes left in the game. Here our outside backer loses contain on the pitchman, and he races upfield for a real nice gain. Veer again. Here we string it out real nice. But our outside backer, at the last second, decides he's going to play the quarterback, where we had a middle backer coming up inside, and we're just not executing very well. Several Tigers in on the tackle. We're back to our goal line. Seems like we got our goal line, a lot of use here. Here they run the option that we were not stopping earlier on the goal line, and now Doug Brandt comes up and makes a real fine play. Nick Theo-Harris on a bootleg. His job backside on our goal line defense is to keep contained. If any boot comes back his way, he needs to be there. And he did a real fine job. Butenbeck connects with Doug Brandt on a curl pattern for about 9 yards. We've broke the bone now. We've gone to what we call our pro set. We still run all of our inside and outside veer plays out of it, but it gives us a little bit more potential for passing. We've got a little more receivers in there. Here the Norfolk defender and Doug Brandt kind of get caught up a little bit, and the Norfolk kid comes up pretty hot, and we're not sure what that was all about. Butenbeck back to pass again, pumps the arrow pattern, and we've got our tight end all alone down the sideline, and that's a ball that I'm sure Bo would like to have back because that had 6 points written all over it. Real fine pattern by Mike Simmons, and you can see our offensive linemen are doing a good job now this series of giving Bo time to pass. Dan Packard is our center, Dave Dunsing and Mike Shaw are 2 juniors playing the guards. We've got a sophomore at one tackle, Justin May, and Todd Tackwell, a junior, at the other tackle. They're only sending 4 people, so we should be pass protecting good. Here we hit Simmons over on the sideline on an arrow pattern for about a 21-yard gain. So we're starting to move the ball a little bit on Norfolk. Here Bo makes a nice read, and the backside post is open, but Tyson Butler just can't come up with the handle on the football. That's a catch we'd like to see made. Here they stunt the linebacker. Bo does a good job of sidestepping him, sees the middle open, breaks a couple tackles, and scrambles for about 14, 15 yards. And we like to see that. That's a good heady play. If things are bogged up on the outside, take it right back up towards the line of scrimmage. Don't try to force a pass. Here we run a play-action dump. That's our 65 pattern, and Mike Simmons picks up about 15 more. Come back to a dump again, and we had called a timeout, and Jason Conant told me when I went out in the huddle, he says, "Coach, when we run that dump, there's no one on the swing." He says, "If I just swing out of the backfield, I believe I'm going to be open." So a lot of times when the kids tell us that, especially a kid like Jason that knows the game pretty well, we'll give it a shot, and they're sure as heck, he makes a nice read. And here we run an option on the goal line, 48. Bo comes out and makes a nice pitch. Doug Brandt made a nice stalk block in the end zone, and Jason basically walks in. Try a two-point play here, that same arrow pass to Mike Simmons, and the quarterback actually, it looks like a bad throw, but that's where the quarterback's got to make that throw on the goal line. If he puts that up any higher, there's a chance for it to get picked off or batted down by the defensive back. But at the same time, Mike Simmons made a great catch. Here we try an onside kick. Don't get a very good onside kick, but we do try. And I believe Norfolk makes one or two snaps here and runs out the play. Runs out the clock, and the game ends up 20-8. After getting off to the bad start as we did, we felt that the kids came back in the second half and played real good, but we would really like to get off to a better start. That's 2 weeks in a row we've got off to a poor start right off the bat, and the coaches are kind of scratching our heads and trying to get some things figured out too about why we're getting off to some poor starts, why our kids seem like sometimes we're not mentally in the game. Granted, many of them are young, but now we feel after 2 football games, they're not rookies anymore. We need to be getting down to business. This week, as we've talked about earlier, we travel out to Scotts Bluff. This will be the second top 10 rated team that we've played in 2 games. Next week, a week from now, we've got Grand Island. Of course, everybody knows they've got right now the preseason and current #1 team in the state. And we've got Lincoln High coming up later, who's ranked about 4th or 5th, and Fremont, who's in the top 10. So it doesn't really get any easier from here. What we're trying to do with our team this year is try to make improvement each week. As coaches, we need to be a little bit patient with our younger kids, but at the same time, we can't afford to be too patient. We expect them to come out, know their assignments, get better and better every week. But the biggest thing we're going to try to do out at Scotts Bluff is to be more aggressive. We don't feel that we are being near enough aggressive. We're not big enough to be overpowering. We've got to be able to make up for that with aggressiveness and being in the right spot at the right time. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks all the crew members here from the high school. All the people this year that are running the show for us are all high school kids. In the past, we've had some of the media directors and Sandy Peterson and some other people helping us, but this year the juniors and seniors have taken over, and we've got 4 or 5 boys here in the studio tonight that are doing all this, and they're doing a fine job, and we appreciate them taking time out of their schedule to come so we can show the people around the Hastings area some of our football. Hopefully, as the season goes on, you'll see us progress, you'll see us get better, and as we said last year, we think our program is on the up and up. We need to keep improving. We need to, to make improvement this year with the younger kids that we're playing, and we really need to have our seniors stick in there and give us a great effort, and we'll see some better games out of the Tigers. We'll see you next week.